Here we go again. So, this is the start off of a new season, new treasures, new adventures. And today, I'm taking Lauren and Chinozy with me to a special meeting that they don't know nothing about. And this meeting is, well, let me go back a little. So we had located some maps. These maps were published. There was quite a few of them. We've checked out, I think, 3 and confirmed that the treasures were already found. We still have 3 remaining that we're not really sure of their whereabouts. One is the jewelry vault, which we do have an idea of where it is. We still have Bull Key, which we believe that map goes to Bull Key. And we also have Boggess Hole, which is unfinished business. So we knew that the story originally said that when Jose Gasparilla, his ship went down, that the cabin boy, which we believe today is Juan Gomez, ran off with these maps. That's when he went up the Peace River, So 5 of these maps were published. We got our hands on them. And come to find out there were other maps. Well, we did make contact with another family who actually wrote the Peace River stories. And supposedly they had 4 or 5 maps. But through time, we believe that they might have gotten lost, crumpled, or burned. We don't know which one, but we believe something like that happened. So there is no other existing maps other than what the family remembers from memory. So I just received a phone call a few days ago of a person, and we're going to call him Bob. And he said he had maps. You hear that? Treasure maps. Not maps, treasure maps. And he says he has over a dozen of them.
Nice.
Well, these maps, I asked him, I said, well, where did you get these maps from? And he told me that he got them from a guy by the name of Ed Carrera. Now, Ed Carrera was from Cuba, and supposedly his family was good friends with Juan Gomez. And now we don't know why he gave the treasures. I guess the family wasn't interested to go look for him, and he gave these maps to Bob. So Bob's been holding on to these maps, and he's gotten pretty up there in age. So he's hired us to help him find these treasures. So we don't know now if these are maps that we had, or there are maybe maps that the other family had, or maybe just maps that we don't know of yet. And he did say that he had a map of Panther Key, of Gasparilla Island, map of the Everglades, which I think that might be the Paymaster treasure, the one where it got buried between 2 flowing rivers, and there's a camelback somewhere, and that's where this treasure's supposed to be. But he says he has a treasure map to that, and other ones. So we're actually going right now to meet up with him and find out what goodies he has. Hey, treasure maps that excites me.
Yes.
So I think we've actually, this is the only, these are the rest, there's no other treasure maps to this Gasparilla treasure. Whatever he has is what is remaining. So, wish us luck today, and keep on watching, because it's going to get very interesting. Well, so we're down in Naples, Florida. I have a young man in front of me by the name of Bob. He reached out to me about having some treasure maps, and he needed our assistance in helping him with this treasure. So again, I do have Chinozi here. I have Lauren here to my side. I also have Mike Jorger on the laptop, Zoom call. This is Bob. And Bob,
Hi, everybody.
I already asked him how many maps he has. How many maps you say you have?
I've never counted them.
He's got that many.
Sorry. No. So this one, I was looking through them yesterday and last night and getting ready, and I found this about Galt Island. And this old guy, Ed, would write notes on the margins. And if he had a spot, to avoid other people, if they stole his map or whatever, so that they wouldn't know what it is, he'd put a pinprick through the map.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you hold it up to the
No, it's
light,
not gold. It's Gold Island.
Galt.
Where those people
Yes.
live, where there's that bridge that takes you up from Pine Island over to that. Remember where we couldn't get in because it's a gated community?
So he put
Yeah, we know about that. We know about
Okay,
this.
so this is Galt Island, but I
Yeah,
don't know
gold.
what interest he had in it. But we got to hold it up to the light and see if there's any pinpricks and whatever. But
Yeah,
that's
we
one
know
of them.
about this.
No, I know nothing about it, but
But-
Okay.
you're welcome to play
But,
around.
but you don't. So it doesn't say anything about
Yes.
what's on it.
No, that's unfortunately,
So that's just a map.
it's
but
just a map.
he just knows that there's something there.
Yeah, must have done. Well, it had some story or something.
Yeah,
Because he
we've
would
known
come
it-
with
we've
his
known about-
uncles.
We happen to know about that because of the shell mounts that we were looking for.
Well, that's a nice architectural map. And I used to be a junior draftsman, so architectural maps and things I can read them. And Ed always had maps like these ones, topographical maps. And these are where kids make notes on them and pinpoint where the treasures are and where the spots are. And most of them are difficult to get to. So, for instance, on this one, this is Little Gasparilla and Boca Grande, and he's got an X marks spot.
Is that where you purchased the property?
No, that one's 30 million. There's a giant. I did a Google search and found the corresponding spot. Someone's built like a giant 3-lot house on there, massive.
So
I
there's a
don't know
house-
who it is.
There is a house there?
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but it's a giant house on it. So over here at the end of the island, this is where I purchased the spot, and this is where he's got some spots marked. This has no other notations apart from the cross there. And,
So how do you know that there's something on that on the property that you purchased?
that's because I got another map. See,
Sorry if I interrupt.
Gianluca.
Oh, so
Gianluca, Mike and his wife,
taking
and
a video. of you. Come on.
Lucy.
to Lucy.
Ciao, Gianluca.
Ciao.
Tuesday.
This is my friend Gianluca, the owner of Cosmos Cafe, the best place for pizza.
Can you follow on
Tu
sono siciliano.
sei di dove?
Catania.
Catania, ma vai spesso?
Catania. I love Catania. I
6
sailed,
anni.
10 anni che non vai? No, devi andare ogni anno, davvero cattanese.
I sailed from Malta to Catania, a lovely little harbor, and I sailed around Sicily as well. I love it. It's beautiful. And then there's
Wasn't sure about
others. Again, it's going to be difficult here with daylight here to see. And I've tried last night to look, see if there's any pinholes or anything to indicate that you might know of this. And I think there's some maps showing this area.
See, I have a treasure map that shows a treasure being here
Right.
and a treasure being over here.
Okay. So I don't know where this is.
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I
That's why
know.
I brought it, because I thought you guys might know.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's very.
And so there's some other rolled up maps that I've got that I think have some spots marked.
Okay.
So he just had these maps, but he hadn't marked them yet. It's like-
Not these.
Nope.
He would mark his own.
His own special maps.
That was reserved just for him and his son. And then, obviously, this is all to do with Little Gasparilla. And on Little Gasparilla, he had marked the best spots. And then there's another map that has maybe 10 spots marked on it, and one major one. And there's some houses in some of them that are empty and others, but no point in buying them unless there's something on the major one, which I hope to buy in the next month or two.
So,
I just found out who owns it.
so these aren't maps. These are just gives you
This-
identification of the property where it's supposed to
And his marks about planting food, gas bars, planting food. Because supposedly Gomez was, we talk about a cabin boy, and we also talk about a quartermaster. And I'm not sure what, how, whatever, but when Gasper was blown out of the water, Gomez didn't go out on that trip, and he knew where all the captain's shares had been buried because he buried them for the captain. That's what a quartermaster usually does. That's what I hear. That's my version of it. And if it's true, we'll only find by finding one of these spots and finding a treasure, then we'll know there's credence to the other potential spots, and they'll be worth going after.
I can probably
So
figure
that's-
this all. I can figure this all out.
Right. So this is Little Gasparilla, and maybe in months to come, we'll go and have a look at that because I've got to get somebody to clear the lot. Right now, it's brush is terrible.
Yeah, but you might want to hold off because sometimes they mark trees.
Yeah, well, I know, but there aren't any trees on the whole island because I've hit by the hurricane really bad. Right? They're still trying to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went over there, the lot next door that I own, interestingly enough, though I didn't see any pine trees. I'm sure there's some other pine trees on there. See, there's lots of palm trees and other, but there's a beautiful pine tree on this lot, and it very unusually it comes up 5 foot, goes across 5 foot, and it goes back up again, right? And it's broken up the top. So someone's going to go with a chainsaw and chop it off if they wanted to, because it's close to the electric power. So obviously, once I've cleared my lot, if I can get the permission or I can get this other lot and I clear it, I'm going to keep the pine tree, just going to be able to clean it up. But it's a very good indication because they don't grow like that unless you make them.
Hey, Mike. We lose him. Hey, Mike. You know what else too? On his property, remember that tree that you saw that you took a picture of at the park where it went up sideways and then up? That's
That was like a Z. It's like a marker.
Yeah, pointer. It's appointed to, usually it's appointed to treasure. That they
Yes.
would, when it's young, they would in that to keep that curve going. Well, this is 100 plus year old pine trees, my guess, and majority of it came down in the last hurricane. But it's about the only one I could see on the island, but it was a nice surprise to see it on the prime lot that I'm after.
Now, are these
These
are
are-
not all treasures. These are just lots.
These are just lots. Yeah, he went and found out who the owners were, and last night, in fact, I went and put into Charlotte County the lot location, and I found the previous owner. So it's in a trust. I've got her phone number. I want to call her up and see if she's interested in selling. But I want to talk to my realtor first to see
Well,
if
do you want me to look at it first to confirm that it's there? You just know it's there.
Sarcasm.
Must be nice to have money like that.
So,
Hear this guy?
do you have anything on Panther Key?
On the what?
Panther Key.
Yeah, that's the next spot I'm going to get to. You guys have a drone?
We do, yes.
What size?
It's
Pretty big size. We have a guy who actually operates the thing.
yeah.
Okay, I have 350 arcade.
We got a big one. We have a guy who actually knows how to do this. We hire
I've been getting this friend of mine's kid to fly it for me. I mean, I know how to fly it, but the program it's got the LiDAR 2. You heard of the LiDAR 2? It's the best one, strongest one.
you actually have
I have the LiDAR 2. I have
Get a
the,
hold of
I have
Matt.
the computer, and a computer that can hold the whole programs. And I have Terra
Yeah,
from DJI.
yeah.
And I have the pole, which is the GPS pole that you need for the L2. In other words, it's like when you see surveyors out there and they got a pole with a little box on it.
Yes, thank you.
That gets you communicating with the drone GBS, etc., the global satellite positioning, something like that. So they got the whole that. I didn't know I had to get that, but I got the LiDAR too. You don't need it if you have the L1 apparently. But I got the L2 and I had to spend another 3,600. And then I got some extra batteries and everything. And I've been out to Key Marco, which used to be called Hawes Island.
Yes.
Okay, so Hawes Island has been where I first went before I even lived there. And it was just shell mines. And I ended up buying a $1 million foreclosure from SunTrust and the empty lot next door because of a mark on the empty lot. So I renovated the house and sold it, and then the empty lot I just sold for $400,000. It's profit. Nice. But I never found anything on the lot. Now someone's built a house on it, but they were supposed to get in touch with me and do the archaeological survey of it before they built.
Well, keep in mind, any metal detectors that you use only go no more than 2.5 to 3 feet.
If you're lucky.
So if that thing's in at 4
I
feet,
sold my first one in 1970s. So I know about metal. I had this one gold, one no discrimination, you go down. They said 150. You actually get a coil. It would be about the size of this room. Put the coil.
I got to put the size of the table.
Right. That's what I got too. But this box is gone. Well, the box, battery. But that's what it came with. A giant box right over in front of you. A giant coil, big white coil like this. And it could go down with the extended coil. If you go down through the roof of aircraft in England. But this thing was big bulky. I took it to the Seychelles and had fun with it because there's a pirate, famous pirate out there that I researched, and his name was Labooze, or Buzzard.
Labooze.
Labooze. And he was
Labooze, we actually had somebody reach out to us. Remember Labooze on the one that's on Flat Island? He believes that the treasure of Oak Island is actually, he thinks it's the Labooze treasure. Well, wait, no, I'm getting confused with somebody else. Labooze has got the one with all the picture that you have to decide for the map.
when he was being hung on the island of reunion.
Yes, and he
threw
did
down
this.
Yeah.
Says where if you find it, gets to keep my treasure.
on the island. We've been on the islands of the Seychelles and looking for it. There's a man who was an Englishman called John Wilkes Cruz, I think, searched for 29 years until he died, and now his son is continuing to search on it. So I went and visited him, and underneath the granite bowl, because Seychelles is granite, there's a boulder the size of this block. He's underneath this thing, going deeper and deeper, trying to find. He's getting clues, some sort. Anyway, I took my metal detector in there, and I said, over this area that he's trying to get to. And I was like, I could pretty much guarantee it was going down at least 5. No discrimination. I said, I'm sorry, mate. Nothing that I could tell. But they still haven't found it, and the stories are still out there. That's fun. That's a fun trip. The Seychelles are beautiful. Yeah. Some of the nicest islands I've been to. But getting back to local, and something I will share, of course, and I think would be your first project, would be Panther Key and Gomez Point. So here's Gomez Point, right? And this is one of Ed's old maps, right, that I handed down to them. And there are 3 points on this map I will share with you. But I'll give you the map so you can copy it. There's a red spot there, a red spot there, and a red spot there. And that's get in the center of, I think it's Hog Island. And so this and this, generally when he did the red mark, that meant gold. And the blue mark meant silver. So that's one map that I've never really gone and done anything about. How much of this is in the water, if at all, after all the hurricanes, etc. Difficult to tell. That will still be there. That was probably a freshwater well back in the day when fresh water went out through the Everglades and out into the sea. And if you, in the early days of Google Earth, I would look at these areas, and like right in the middle here, for instance, there'd be this perfect blue circle. What that was fresh water coming up into the sea. But apparently the seawater is encroaching onto the Everglades, which is why they're trying to mess with 41 to allow the water to flow out. But that one is probably, because it looks a bit of low area, probably a well. Whether these are still there or will be washed away, I don't know. But I'm going to give you this one as a starter. We'll go with it, but I want it back.
Don't worry.
And then
We'll give it back.
Yeah, I can take a picture of it. Just take a picture of it. This way we can print it out and you can just
print it and superimpose it. Okay, for the future, something with the side sounds going. So this is Buttonwood Bay, and you get to it from over here, right? And you come out, and then if you head due east on a jet ski, it opens up for you. You get all the way out here, and then this is the Whitney River. The Whitney River goes up to another key location that's marked on my map with details of something buried there, which I'll share with you the details of what he says.
What's that arrow?
But that arrow points to chests that he's got here of a galleon. He says there's a galleon there and there's chests or something. Whether this was presumably one of the many galleons that got caught in a storm, or may not even be a galleon, it may be a caravel, caught by a storm, pushed in, and of course they just hung out in the river, hoping to float off the next day or whatever. Now, whether they survived or not, but we know the Calusa used to kill them all. Any survivors were fierce people, as they were known. The Spaniards, in this article, viewed them as like 7-foot giants, because the Spaniards weren't very tall, and the Calusa were supposed to be about 6 foot tall, and were fierce people, they were known as. So, what is here, I don't know. I tried with a magnet fishing, didn't get anywhere. What it needs is a side scan sonar, proper side scan. And you can do this on a high tide. It's a lovely little spot, and it'll be very easy, from here across to the street to the other side, probably is the distance. And if you go mow the lawn with a side scan, it'll pick up if there's anything there, it'll pick it up. Quite happy sharing that one with you because I can't get to it. And if you guys got boat and a side scan, that was a very good, strong possibility that Ed left with me. All right. And then I'll find out more about Bolt Island. And then
You don't have anything up in Charlotte County, Arcadia?
there was a whole load of stuff, but I didn't look at these other maps that I got. I wanted to concentrate on more down here and what I knew, and give you the opportunity of getting out to Panther Key, which is where what you know, and where you've been before. This is Goodland and Hawes Island. Hawes Island, when you, I don't know it's this map. Yeah, there's no other marks on it. I think it's what this is about. I don't know, and neither did he, because he put a question mark after it. Approximately 3,000 pounds of gold and jewels, buried approximately 14 foot deep, circa 1850s. British coins buried by Indians? Question mark. So there's two sites that I haven't been able to get to yet that will be very interesting, and you'll probably get them easier than me. I went up the Whitney on jet skis, almost got there, and the trees blocking the river a bit. Coming from the north, probably too difficult, and maybe in the dry season, possible. And then the other spot, probably from the north, is the easiest, in canoes. And you may have to cross a few rivers. My buddy, James, he almost got there, and there's logs across the streams, and you can't just cut the logs and what have you. But he was almost there. And now, I've gone over it with a drone, with the LiDAR, etc. But there's not much there, because there's not much vegetation. But later on I'll share the locations, and we'll see if you can get there.
All right, so let me ask you this. So the information that Ed got, okay, so you're saying Juan Gomez gave him the information and then he took the information and he started putting it on a map.
Well, Juan Gomez apparently ended up in Cuba having family, right?
Hold on. Let me get back on Zoom. Hold on 1 second.
But is that where your ancestors, relatives came from, or were they always up around Charlotte Harbor?
So my great-great-great-grandfather came from, he was born in Cuba, which was Francisco, which is Juan's son,
Right.
one of his
So
children.
Ed's uncles used to take him when he was a kid treasure hunting.
Okay.
That's how Ed knows all of this, and how Ed's got.
And yes, but Juan was back and forth from Cuba all the
Yes.
time, but he was from Portugal,
Yes.
Spain.
And so,
I asked him how he got the maps.
Right.
And so Ed got the information obviously through Juan. And then once he got the information, he started putting them on maps so he could remember where these spots were.
Ed wouldn't have been.
Well, where
Ed got the information from his uncles, and he was from Cuba. And so his uncles would take him to, when they went to dig up treasure that they knew about, they'd take him. And so there's some that they never got, and Ed knew the details, and Ed knew where they were. That's the story I've got. I can't verify it because he's dead, and his son wasn't interested. His son is also called Ed, but he wasn't interested. So this is the really fun one for you, and the one I'd like you to try first. Where you got a guy with a boat, you got a guy
Yes.
with a snorkel, you got a guy who can dive, and you got waterproof metal detectors.
Yes.
So here is more detailed of Gomez Point, Panther Key, and here is Ed's original stuff that I haven't done much about for 30 years, obviously. These are excellent possibilities. Red is gold, blue is silver. That.
Okay.
And so
that's a good one.
that was, remember I was telling you about that it looks like a depression on Hog Key? That's that one that we've got on that other one, the black and white one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some close to the bank. There's a silver one there, number 2. Number 1 up here, that's close to the bank. So again, I've overlaid another
I don't
modern
even,
map.
we probably won't even have to do that. We know that area pretty familiar.
We do, yeah.
We know how to get right to it.
Right, but having that marked on a map,
Yes.
just rather
Yes.
than like going around the whole
It's more
field.
precise that way.
Having X marks the spot gives you a chance to say, okay, well, I'm spending a day going up and down,
Yes.
X marks the spot. Hit those spots and see if they get any hits, whether they've been found since, because I had a friend that I gave the detail and went with another friend who was I think he was a photographer or a cameraman for Discovery Channel or something. And he's a dentist. Anyway, they went down there one weekend with my metal detector, and they said there was some people down there, and they wouldn't stop looking and watching them wherever they're going. They wouldn't know what they were doing with them. So these people were out there already looking for it, I suppose. So how much is left? Who knows? I haven't shown this map to anybody, so you are the first ones to see it and be able to use it as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm trusting you guys as to, as the old pirates shared equally amongst each other.
Yes, sir.
All right. And, we share alike, similar democratically, like pirates always were. And, if Mike's the leader and we don't think he's doing a good job, we just keel haul in, and make him walk the plank or whatever, and elect somebody else. Right? So I'm like, no pressure,
New leader.
no pressure on you, right?
Well, he still has me held hostage, so.
So these 3, those 2 or whatever, and then that's an interesting article. Oh yeah,
Was it here or was it over in Cuba?
it was. I don't know. It was up and down this coast. That's why he's got so many maps and things. It was all the way up to, Placida there, which is the first time I've been there. And I'm gonna, when I get home, I'm gonna pull out some other that are road maps. This is all stuff that I got 2 other drawers like that with maps on it, and
Okay.
they're folded. But I had some others, and I forgot to bring them or look at them last night. There were places I don't know, like you were talking about that one I had. I think it's got some marks on it too, so it'd be good to put it up against what you've got.
The one that you have that had Bogus Hole, that one it had a little bit of Gasparilla, Kayapaloo. I'd really like to take a closer look at that map because, as a matter of fact, we have a map that goes to Bogus Hole. Right now, my phone's recording, but as soon as we stop, I'm going to show you what I have.
Okay, cool.
And I'll show you maps that I have. We actually have physical maps. Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, these are same thing. He's got them marked.
Yeah.
Ours are a little bit different than what you have, but
It's a little different than what
my,
we have.
My opinion is I'm not really. I got 2 new knees, 2 new hips, and I still can't get around very well. And I certainly getting in and out of a boat, I can do, but digging around and climbing through mangrove and stuff, I can't do. So from my attitude, it's like, let somebody else go find it. And if they find it, they're going to come back to me and say, hey, Bob, we're going to share with you
Yes.
because we want to know all the other.
Yes, because we want to know where more maps are. Yeah.
how much of a cut are you willing to do?
Sorry?
How much of a cut are you willing to?
Whatever's fair shares.
Okay.
You know, whatever's fair shares. For me, when I wanted to go and do it professionally, it was always, I don't care about the treasure, just give me the film rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Mike. That is so Mike.
Right? Because especially since Oak Island and all the rest of them, you know, Discovery Channel, they're paying, God knows how much they're paying Gary, Gary Drayton with his metal detector. He's unfortunately got locked in some contract with the people that are producing Oak Island. But Tony Sampson, the diver, is a nice guy. And we were chatting, and that's another thing that we might want to get you guys with your metal detectors, because mine, I lent it to James and he doesn't know how to use it yet. He's still working. He's still working on it, but we found some very interesting things. Nothing to do with Ed Carrera and etc. But a friend of mine owned a piece of land down here, and it was the last property before a reserve, Rookery Reserve. And on that, they built a ditch around it, like a canal or something, drainage, and they raised the property a bit, and they found an anchor, an old anchor that was broken in half. And I actually got the shank of the anchor and took it to a steelworks and had a slice taken off. And then I sent it to, I went to Nova Scotia last August, and I spent a week in Nova Scotia talking to Tony Sampson, and he took this piece of steel onto Oak Island and had Emma analyze it, and it came back 1740s Spanish. And now, so there's the anchor. This is the lot, say, for instance. The anchor was found here. There's a house here and a lake here and more buildings here. More recently, a lady who I haven't met yet was allowed to go with a metal detector, and about a bit more than 100 foot away, she found a steel bar. And when you pick it up, you know it's old because it's so heavy. So the steel bar is slightly bent. One end is, and I got pictures, right? If you want to see pictures, it's slightly beveled. The other end is broken. So I took that again and I had a slice taken, and I sent that overnight to Tony because it was the end of the season nearly, right? This last season. And he took it on to Emma, and Emma came back with a result of 1740, same period, but English still. And English has a particular varieties of metals and components to it. That's how she knows it's English. Because in Cornwall, we have a tin mine, which the Romans used to mine. And across from Cornwall, there's Wales, which is a coal mining area. And so that's where the smelting of this piece of steel is. And I have a friend on a Treasure Net, some website that I joined. He sent me pictures of a caravel and a steering mechanism at the back of the boat has a rod going down it.
And that's
It could be part of this. And he said, you need to go back out there and see if you can't find some wheels and columns and other parts to it. So I know the spot. and we can go back there one time and have a look. I know the owner is.
Well, you're going to need divers for that.
And it's not as land treasure for me because I don't do diving and stuff. I mean, it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You go and get a boat and divers, and you take them out to the Bahamas somewhere. You can spend a few million in a few months.
Let me see. Hey, Mike, do you have any questions?
He's very quiet over there.
Not at the moment. Not at the
Okay.
moment. I would love to be able to use your drone on a couple other projects, though. That LiDAR.
Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much finished with it, and I got 30,000 tied up in it. And I was thinking of trying to encourage this friend of mine's son, who's going to mechanic school, to maybe get started doing advertising in Naples, taking videos of properties for real estate agents, builders, and the rest of it, because it's very new, and this is all brand new modern equipment, and that whole field is really growing exponentially.
If he wants to work with us, we can certainly promote him and his business on the channel.
Right. Okay.
That was
Yeah.
That's what Matt
we'll
does.
see. I think it's just we'll see what he's up to. It. Right now,
We have a guy, but the LiDAR thing, I've always been interested in that. And Mike and these guys have covered some properties that are really huge areas, and I think that would be helpful to have some LiDAR.
I mean, if you've got a forested area, which is the Everglades down here is not really that forested. There are mounds, but the rest is very low lying. Yeah, they found so many amazing temples and what have you in the Yucatan. When it take you a day to go 3 miles, the drone can find things in an hour.
There's one in particular in Crystal River. There's an island that they think there's a Mayan, like one of these pyramids.
Oh yeah.
It's owned by the state, and they won't let anybody out on the island.
My drone, you can sit in a restaurant across the way and send the drone, zip, 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 and back, and then download it and see what you find.
That would be great to expose, for history. Because state of Florida tries to hide that. I actually spoke to a few.
Well, these two places in the Everglades, I'm allowed to fly my drone in.
Okay.
Allowed to go with an airboat. We get there tomorrow in 10 minutes if we had an airboat. But the local chief, who has an airboat right close, he says he's not allowed to go. And with an airboat, get there in a piece of cable. But I'm not allowed to go there. So there's 2 spots that I have that are south of.
You're talking about Buttonwood?
Yeah, Buttonwood Bay.
Weiner or
Yeah.
whatever the heck that is.
Wedding.
Wedding.
Over there. Yeah, south of 41. I've got 2 spots marked on the map that have details of what's there. And I've not been able to get there. And friends who are stronger and more capable than I, and they couldn't get there either. But I think it's possible if you set your mind to it. Gonna get wet, climb through the jungle. Well, according to your video, that's what we like to do.
It is.
A couple of guys there look like they gun ho for this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard work, man.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Well, I went up there, and then we with some jet skis up the Whitney River. We got to run as far as we could. So I decided to go for the right-hand spot. And we got off, and we walked for about an hour. And I was marking some trees because you need to mark for trees. And then after we got lost and we managed to get back to the boat, I looked at my phone and it showed the route we'd taken was like this. we didn't use a compass like we should have done and said, okay, we got to go this way, guys. I mean, we could have possibly got there in the time we were there. But that was another escapade that is more a disaster than a real proper organized trip.
We're thinking here a little bit. I think you're very interesting. Would you be interested in being part of our next season? Because are you okay with us filming us looking for your treasure?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think
Don't ask me to go climbing through the mangroves.
it'd be great for to have you almost on every episode, and like we come back and show you any leads these guys have found, and
Yeah,
kind of
lots of
brainstorm
them.
together. I think it'd be
And
good.
I've got the metal detector and the equipment that can help you with the filming if you wanted with the LiDAR. The L2, the M2 is brilliant. It's like it's so easy to operate and program.
I would love that. I'd like to
Well,
extend that invitation to you. I don't know if Mike already spoke to you about it, but I think it'd be interesting for you to be involved. So
Yeah,
I enjoy listening to you. Sound interesting. You have a lot of knowledge. So
got a lot of stories, none that I can prove. It's like everything, you got to prove it, right? And that's why I want these guys, down at Panther Key. And, if there's only, I think, 4 or 5 spots. And if they can verify if there's nothing there, there's nothing there, then we move on to my next location, which is Little Gasparilla.
the thing you mentioned earlier, we like the history part of it.
Yes.
It's when we go out and film, it's settling the story. So whether we find anything or not, it's pretty cool to document the history about it.
Right.
So,
Let's do it.
love that part.
Yeah, me too. I love that car. I always think that the story about Anne Bonny and her cohort and Calico Jack Rackham,
Yeah.
their story would be a good for at least a documentary, maybe even a fun movie just on its own. How she started out in England being dressed as a boy because her mother had lost the boy that she'd had, and she was getting a little bit of money from the grandparents, so she dressed her as a boy so she could keep getting the money. And then how she ended up in Jamaica and Calico Jack getting hung. It's a fascinating story, just in its own right. And you see on Black Sails, there was the character on Black Sails there, and Vane. They had a character on Black Sails that was Vane, and so I loved the Black Sails because it was, historically it was trying to be correct. And they did raid the Spanish who were salvaging the 1715 fleet. They raided the Spanish, and after they dug it up, they went there and grabbed it and said that was easy. And there's lots of that.
All right, well, let's stick with the Indian village. At the same time, we can always check out Panther Key while we're around there just to get, logistics of it. And then we'll set that up for the following trip.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like a plan.
And he says he'll give us the rest of the maps once we find the one.
Yeah, and as the guys on Oak Island said, he always says, boots on the ground, right? They're going to be my boots on the ground, right?
So we just had a meeting with Bob, and guy's got maps. So what he's willing to do is, he gave us one map that shows where the treasure is on Panther Key and where the treasure is on another area by Marco Island. So he says, this is the start. And I really like to do the Gasparilla Island one, but he's still closing on the property. So until he's got full ownership, that's when we go into Gasparilla Island and go after it. He actually literally bought those properties because the treasure map points to those properties. Pretty fascinating. So, game on. New season, let's go.